Welcome back to another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. We are coming to you on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you take a minute and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and stick around to the end of the podcast for an amazing tip from our guest that is sure to kick your e-commerce business into high gear. My name is Ramin, and it's great to have everybody back here again. Our goal for each and every episode is to educate and entertain you on all things e-commerce. And yes, we do believe we can entertain you on e-commerce. So let's get things started. This is just the beginning. So today's episode is our second in our Client Spotlight series, and what a treat we have for you today. This client is owner of not just one successful e-commerce company, but two. That's right, two. Our guest not only sports an amazing beard, but also brews an equally amazing cup of coffee. He's raised substantial sums of money for local charities, loves e-commerce, loves creating new products, and we love that he's always innovating and challenging us as an agency with new ways to help him grow his business. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please welcome Jason Sealand, CEO and owner of Mad Viking Beard and Brewtality Coffee. Jason, it is great to have you on the E-commerce Revolution podcast today. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
How are you?
Awesome. Doing good. Doing well.
Good. Thank you. This is great. And I think that, tell me really quickly, where are you calling in from today?
We're like an hour north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
All right. How's the weather right now?
Ice storms. We came in. Ice storms are pretty bad today. But it's Pennsylvania weather, so it's like it could be 60 one day and it could be an ice storm the next day. So you get what you get.
I'm starting to understand what that's like now being in Austin, Texas. I think I was wearing shorts on Monday,
right?
And now I'm wearing a Patagonia down jacket. So it is very interesting weather, but for sure.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend that is from Austin, and I was yesterday morning, and he said that the kids had a snow day, and I'm like, in Austin?
Yeah.
But
my kids, it's funny. My kids, and disclose, I previously from California. Shocker, I'm in Austin. But the fact that snow days, we didn't know such a thing, and then we got here, and they've already had one snow day. These kids were so excited, never been happier in their life to be experiencing something like a snow day, which is obviously a common thing on the East Coast.
Oh yeah,
when there's a bad storm,
normal occurrence for sure.
That's awesome. So listen, before we get into the meat of our interview, I want to just ask you a couple of introductory questions. I mentioned in the top of the podcast that you've given a substantial amount of money to local charity. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that all came about? And name of the charity also would be great.
Okay. The charity's Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. Children's, has been something that early on in my life, I was a kid down there at the hospital. So I had scoliosis real bad, curvature of the spine. And it's just always kind of been something that we wanted to give back to, me personally and my business partner as well.
Awesome.
So he was down there for a heart defect when he was little as well. So when we kind of met, that's something that, came up in conversation or whatever. And it's just kind of something that we carried with us into our businesses, when we started them up. So
that's awesome. That is a great thing.
Been doing that since 2013, basically when the company started. So.
Wow. That's great to hear. I mean, anytime you're in a situation where you have been, impacted by something, personally, and then you've had, in this case, a treatment and somebody's helped you out to go back and be able to build a successful business where you can give back. I think that's an unbelievably admirable thing that you do. And I love that. I love the charity angle, and maybe we don't even call it that. We call it, the give back angle of business. So phenomenal.
It actually, really, there was no angle whatsoever. There was we weren't even trying to start a business, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Our story's on our website, Mad Viking, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've checked it out or seen it. But basically, it was like 5 or 6 guys standing around a bonfire at my house, just hanging out. At that point, I think I had a goatee and a little bit of stubble on each side, you know. And we were all just kind of, you know, the macho talk and everything like that. Had a couple beers in us, and we were just like, you know, I could grow a better beard than you know, and back and forth, you know, all that good camaraderie. And we're like, hey, let's all shave tomorrow. Let's meet up 6 months later at the VFW where we hang out sometimes or whatever. And, you know, whoever has the biggest beard then's a winner, and everybody's got to buy him drinks for the rest of the year. So he like hangs out and drinks for free, you know, and that's what we decided to do. And we kind of put it on social media at the time, on Facebook primarily. And people just loved the idea. All of our friends and their friends. And it just started to become this big, giant idea. And, you know, there were beard contests and stuff and everything at that time, but we weren't part of the community or anything like that. It was just something that we were doing on our own. But that idea just blossomed into, I think it was 150 to 200 competitor beard comp.
Wow.
That we did like 6 months later. And
oh my God.
Got a bunch of sponsors, raised some money for Children's Hospital, and just loved it. Like, just loved the organizing, the putting everything together, and doing some good with your friends. So that's kind of where all this started.
Wow. As you were building a community before the business was even a thing.
Yeah. And
which is very cool.
And it wasn't even a plan. It was just something that we were doing.
Best kind of business to start, right?
Yeah.
Best kind of business. Jason, great. I love stories like that. Now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your Facebook profile picture. This is an epic picture. I mean, I don't know when you did this picture. I think I roughly have a good idea when you did it, because it is just amazing. And you have one of the best, and we can see it today, one of the best groomed beards I've ever seen. I don't know. You see a lot of beards, so maybe, you know, maybe there's others out there that are different.
Yeah, there's some great beardos out there. I got a different kind of beard. It doesn't like grow spirally or coarse. Like, it's more of like a fine hair, like not thin or anything. It's just not as thick as normal beard hair. It's kind of like head hair or something. And then
you can almost comb it. I say you can comb it down, right?
Yeah, it doesn't snag. You can run the comb through it really easy. It's pretty easy to take care of, you know.
Yeah.
But there's some guys. There's some guys with beards that go to their waists, you know.
Wow.
I mean, I've had mine halfway down to my stomach region. It gets a little bit longer and kind of tapers down. It's kind of that type of beard. It doesn't go poof like this because of the type of hair or whatever. But that's why I keep it like this short.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfect. So what's involved in the grooming process, and then maybe even tell us what Mad Viking beard products you use in your beard.
Okay.
Yeah.
My personal routine right at the moment, because I test a bunch of different things. Like, I go from, you know, our butters, balms, oils, all that stuff, different washing cycles, just to test things out, to see what works for me, so I can better, you know, help out a customer when, you know, they're asking all these questions. But right now I'm just kind of into the oil and the beard and body spray. Keeping it light. Usually wash with our biotin conditioner and our beard wash or biotin beard wash every other day.
Nice.
Usually the whole, it's 5 minutes for me. It doesn't take that long at all. I would rather do this any day than shave. Like, the whole shaving thing and I mean, sometimes, you know, you got a bearded guy's got to line up a little bit. And, and maybe a little bit down here, but I just kind of let it grow naturally down here. It doesn't go down my neck and connect to my chest at all. It's, you know, some guys have it easy, some don't. You know, it just depends on your own personal style. But
well, I'm with you on the shaving part. I mean, probably a thing that most people loathe is, you know, most men, they just do not enjoy the shaving process. And listen, if you can have a beard like yours and some of the ones I've seen on your Facebook page and other, I mean, that is awesome. And I don't think I've ever really, I've grown. I mean, I could grow pretty quickly, and people joke with me that well, it's, what is that? Like 4 days? You're already into the beard. You almost have it. But I've never gotten into that place where I start to groom it. I probably chicken out. Maybe that's when the itching starts a little bit, and you got to get past that itching phase, right?
Right. Well, that's where, that's where the beard oil comes in, like
yes,
just a little bit, not a lot. You don't want to keep it
okay.
like really soaking wet or greasy or anything like that.
Right.
Literally a couple drops between your hand and just kind of like massage it in. It's great. It works wonders.
Nice.
It cuts down on that beard itch that you get. So
I love that. So if anybody who's out there who's listening to this, who is trying and has tried, go to madvikingbeard.com and get the oil, try it out. I mean, I will do the same. I'm in because I don't like shaving. I do not like it at all. It's like I could plan my morning around it.
Yeah. I used to do it like once a week. I hated it so bad. So like, this is a godsend for me. It's like, where was this earlier on in my life, so.
Nice. So we mentioned that there's not only one business, but there are two businesses, and you are the CEO and the owner of both of them. You mentioned business partner as well. Tell me, let's talk about Mad Viking. You kind of gave us a little bit of a little bit of information on how it got started. Mm-hmm. Really, a few guys hanging around, talking, and starting a contest, and then one thing led to another. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Brewtality Coffee. Where did the inspiration come for that?
There again, it was just me and my business partner, Jason. His name's Jason too.
Oh wow, you got two Jasons.
Yeah,
in two companies.
Yeah,
awesome.
We're double powered over here. So, but yeah, it was just a conversation that we were having, hanging out, him and I, and he's really into coffee, and I wasn't at the time, to be honest with you. Oh. Coffee never really worked for me.
Okay.
And I kind of challenged him. I put him on the ropes. I'm like, dude, like I'm not a coffee fan, so if you could change my mind. And
nice.
He did just that. I drink black coffee now. I don't need to put anything in it.
Yeah.
Our stuff's not bitter. It's just, it kind of drinks like a tea or something like that. To different, varying degrees, depends how much he roasts it or whatever, but he's got the golden touch when it comes to roasting coffee for sure.
That is fantastic. Oh, I love that. I love that. I mean, these are, coffee it's an institution, right? People have all their different ways of gussing up their coffee or not gussing up, going straight with the, I'm going to go black coffee. And I went through a phase, black coffee only. Now I like to add a little oat milk to my coffee just to, give it a little touch of color, a little creaminess, if you will, in there. So that's great. So how much crossover is there between the two companies? I mean, you both are business partners running this company together. Do you share employees across the business?
Oh, without a doubt.
Or is it without a doubt? Okay.
So our idea behind that was, when we came up with the coffee idea, we had Mad Viking in a different place.
Okay.
So we knew we needed a new warehouse. Okay. So we kind of had a warehouse built that could house both companies so we could run them more efficiently, cross-train employees. It's kind of more efficient, I guess, just having everybody in one spot. So
sure, absolutely. And what about the names? How did you come up with Mad Viking Beard? And was that as a result of hanging around with your buddies that night drinking a little beer, or was the evolution down the road?
It might have been like a couple weeks span. We were just like, that competition was fun. We raised a lot of money for charity. How can we do this again? So what we kind of did from there is like, what do we call this? And the first competition was, so I used to DJ back before I did all this stuff. And
you didn't put that in the notes.
No,
you didn't put that in the show notes.
No, I think it might be on the story on the website, but
okay.
I DJ'd a lot, did openings for rock and metal bands and stuff like that, all the way from Chicago to over here in Pittsburgh and stuff like that.
Wow.
Just kind of a weekend gig thing, nothing major. So I already knew how to throw events and what everything went into that. But yeah, we just thought, hey, we need a social media something to bring everybody in, a group for this event that we want to have. And like I said before, from that event came the idea, like a couple weeks later after we made that group that still exists today. And I think there's like 18,000 people in it or something like that. But from that group is where the business idea sprouted, because people are like, well, why don't you guys like make products for beards and stuff like that if you're going to do this? And so we kind of got asked for them, and we're like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So we dove in like full force. I mean, it was crazy. The time we spent, we ate, slept, and breathed that once we started that group a couple weeks later. So actually the name came from just sitting around the table brainstorming, and I'm like, hey, my grandfather, my great grandfather, they called him like the angry Swede and the mad Viking and stuff like that. And like I'm a big baseball fan. You've got the Yankees hat on, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Always been a baseball fan. Played baseball when I was coming up, and my great grandfather played baseball in the 20s and 30s. Oh wow! And but that was his nickname back then. And he got recruited by Honus Wagner for the Pirates. You know, Honus at that time, I think he was a little bit older, and that was kind of what he was doing. But he got recruited for the Pirates and the Yankees, and turned it down. You know, they weren't paying enough. And he had a great job at a coal mine, and he was supporting 3 sons and his wife. Wow. So he kept doing that. He still played ball for the county and traveled and did all that stuff. But yeah,
isn't that amazing that, I mean, in this day and age, obviously, if you're good in baseball, you can get paid very well.
Right.
So, but back in the day, it wasn't the case. People, you have a job somewhere else that paid a lot more than professional sports did.
Right.
It blows me away.
Well, I mean, if you look at a guy like Babe Ruth, I think when he was at the kind of top of his game, and I might be wrong, we could all Google this, but sure. I think he was doing like $150,000 to $250,000 a year, something like that. Babe Ruth at his height back then. So,
wow.
I mean, for somebody like that, my great grandfather was no Babe Ruth, so he was a great pitcher and stuff like that, and they wanted him, but I think they were probably just paying him starting rate at the time, whatever that was.
So, oh no.
Yeah.
So you must be pretty bummed out with the lockout right now. You're not going to be able to watch baseball unless they get their act together and I guess put it all, make it all happen before opening day.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we've seen that in the past with what was that, 95, 96 or something like that?
Yeah, I think 94, I think.
Right around there.
We could Google
that too.
Yes, right.
But yeah, that's kind of where the name Mad Viking came from, was that right there,
And what about Brewtality Coffee? How did that happen? How did that name come up?
So that's more of kind of like a thing that came up with a sponsorship deal we had in our artist series with Black Label Society. And I know Zach is, they had that album, their first album was Sonic Brew. And so he was always kind of using that vernacular, Brewtality, like, nice. Metal rock, but with the ERW, because it was the Sonic Brew album, right? So we kind of looked and seen if all of that was available, because we like the ring of it and we love the band and what they do and everything like that. So we're just like, that'd make a great name for coffee, So we got it trademarked. We jumped through all the hoops and locked everything down and then started going with it. So that's kind of where the amalgamation of that name came from.
Well, they have, the names have synergy. There's a toughness to both names, right? And if you correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, naming is a tough thing to do in a business. Naming a business is a tough process. Sometimes it just comes to you, and you get very lucky, and it just instantly, you're like, that's it, we're good.
Right.
Other times, businesses struggle. They'll, go through a whole exercise and months of vacillation on names. And it's very cool how it, kind of happened. And then I got to ask about the gentleman on the homepage of
Yep.
Mad Viking Beard. Who is that? And where does this guy, man, that is a scary gentleman, but I bet he's a teddy bear deep down inside. He's probably the nicest guy in the world.
He's not a scary gentleman. His
Yep. Okay.
name's Israel Barkley. He is a first officer in our Pennsylvania Beard Club, which is
I love it.
also a 501c3 charity. So,
oh, nice. Okay.
but yeah, that's something that we did together, a little project. We done a couple photo shoots. I'm the photographer. I do that too.
Beautiful.
So
wow.
Yeah. I'm actually sitting in the photography room right now in the warehouse for the interview. But yeah, that's where that came from. He was actually wearing blue jeans in that photo.
Okay.
He actually had just a normal long sleeve shirt on, like a black long sleeve shirt with a little heather stripes mixed in or something like that. And he's like, "Hey, I have this like leather shoulder piece from a Halloween costume." And I'm like, "I'll make you look like a Viking, dude." And like 15 minutes later with a little makeup and some camera work and a little bit of editing, it was like, boop.
I love it. Well, it's funny. The first time I saw it, I was like, I don't want to meet him in a dark alley. I'd be nervous.
No,
but I said, I bet you deep down, he's probably the nicest guy and the sweetest guy in the world.
He's a heck of a guy, dude. He's awesome.
That's awesome.
Does a lot of work for the club. Tons of charity work. Really cool guy. He is not mean though. He is not mean.
Well, he does justice to the homepage. Makes it look awesome.
Yep.
Like, very strong. So, Jason, prior to starting Mad Viking Beard and Brewtality Coffee, what were you doing? Like, job-wise?
Nothing close to what I'm doing right now.
Oh, wow.
Well, maybe a little bit. I did go to school for a few years for web design and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
But I absolutely learned nothing there. Nothing. I've carried nothing from my schooling to what I'm doing right now. Just except for a love of, working with computers and stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, everything was so antiquated what I learned then that it didn't apply to what is now. Right.
Sure.
So, and then I kind of bounced around. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. It's something that once I figured that out about myself, it was easy. Everything became easy after I figured out who I was, and what I like to do. So I've been a furnace operator in a steel mill.
Wow.
One of those guys that, wear the silver suit and skim the top of 3,000 degree iron. I had that job for 3 years. Worked with my dad in a steel mill. I've been a manager at 84 Lumber.
Wow.
I've flipped houses. That kind of got my entrepreneurial brain kind of ticking. Yeah. I had a trucking company.
Wow.
So,
my gosh.
Yeah, we actually had 3 businesses at one point. I kind of sold off the logistics stuff. We were doing, it came from trucking. So we had I think 15 trucks and 35 employees.
Wow.
With the logistics. We were doing like installations and deliveries and stuff like that. So working a lot with like IKEA and Amazon and, the exercise companies like the exercise mirror, and Peloton and stuff like that. So we were doing a lot of that stuff, but we don't do it anymore. But that's kind of what I was doing before this as well. So. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Right. So, and that's a great example of, nobody's born into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, it may be in your soul, but it takes time to figure it out. Yep. I figured it out when I was, I wanted to always be, I was the guy who would always read Fortune magazine and look at all these entrepreneurs. And I always dreamt of that. I'm like, oh, one day I'm going to have my own business. But, you don't walk into and say, one day I'm an entrepreneur. You you slowly roll into it, and it's a fascinating place and it's a great place when you feel it, when you know it,
Right.
right? And I'm sure that's what you were saying is that you're like, I got it. This is what I am. I am this, and I'm going to keep working on this and evolving this side of myself.
Right. Yeah. It took me a while, but once I
Yeah.
got it and I knew, then I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, whether it's good or bad. This is what I'm
That
doing.
That's it. That's great. You are like I guess officially now you are not hireable in corporate America anymore. Once you become an entrepreneur, now they know
No.
they if you go in for a job interview and they look at your resume and they say, what have you been sort of last X number of years you've been running a business?
Right.
They're threatened by that. I feel they're like, we don't want to talk to this
I
guy.
mean, hey, Apple and Facebook, if you want to give me the keys to the castle, I'll run with it, but you probably can't
Right,
tell me
right.
what to do at this point, right?
Exactly. Oh,
So,
I love that. That's it. That's great. So tell me, you mentioned in pre-interview notes you love e-commerce.
mhm.
What do you love about e-commerce? What is it that gets you going every day?
I think the fact that there's a bunch of things. I think the major is just being creative, just a chance to be creative. I like the fact that it's always kind of ever changing. If you can't do something 1 year, you wait a year, 6 months, and then the technology changes, and then you can,
Right.
you know, so like I tried a couple like a t-shirt business and stuff like this online that I failed at, and that's the thing about entrepreneurs as well. You can fail up, don't fail down, Um,
Right.
I failed up like 2 times before, I figured it out. And it was early, so there wasn't really, you could Google advertise and stuff like that, but
Sure.
it was before Facebook, you know. So to
Right.
be able to advertise on social media and spread the word was a lot
Hmm.
harder before that time. So it just a lot
Sure.
of things in e-commerce changes, and I think that's something that I really like about it.
That's great. So tell me what don't you like about it? Is there something about e-commerce that drives you crazy?
Um, yeah, and you're gonna laugh about this. um,
All right.
what drives me crazy? So as an entrepreneur, your time is so valuable, and you want to maximize it and do the things you want to do and the things that pertain to your business and the things that you love. I do not like going through email. Okay. I
All
wish
right.
there was like
You got me
I
laughing. You got
wish
me
there was some
laughing.
like magic wand where I could be like boop boop boop. And sometimes there's cool things in email, right? But
Right.
the one thing that really gets me is the same sales guy constantly ding ding ding. He's like, "Hey, did you
Yeah.
check out this?" And I'm like, "How did you get my email? How?"
Yeah.
And so you did that as well.
I did. I did. Full disclosure, I did. I hounded Jason regular,
but
but on LinkedIn. On
but
LinkedIn at first.
sometimes you can. I mean, I would say 99% of the time, I can see when an email comes in,
Hmm.
and I'll either know instantly that it's not something for us,
Hmm.
or I'll know like, hey, that looks different. I think I might look
Yeah.
into it. So I'll pull up a website or whatever.
Sure.
And that was the case with you guys. Pulled up the website, and I'm like, these guys are legit, and I'm looking for something like this. So I'm going to reach back out and see what's going on. I'm glad I did because you guys
Yeah.
you guys have been
Appreciate that.
you guys have been awesome. So
Well, I appreciate that. And it's interesting that that you talk about receiving the emails, right?
right,
And email is one of your strongest. Well, I don't know if it's the strongest, but it is a very strong channel,
right,
marketing channel for you. So you've got other people on the other end, your consumers, right, receiving. And you're right. We get a lot. We get inundated, and it's hard to break through the noise, and it
right,
takes sometimes that entrepreneurial gut feeling.
right,
And I feel it too. We get hit up all the time. You
hmm,
check this software out, partner with
right,
us on this. And,
right,
sometimes you look at them, and you're like, oh no, not another one of those emails. Come on. You can do
right,
better than that, guys. You can do better than that. And then other times you're like, I like it. I like these guys.
right. I really think that's the key, especially when you have something like email or SMS, is to
Yeah.
just provide value. You don't want to add to the noise. I
Right.
mean, if you give value, they're going to want to open it. They're going to want to look at it. They're going
Sure.
to, that's the key to it. That's how people
Yeah.
separate it when they,
That's a great point. And any entrepreneur listening, any e-commerce entrepreneur, add value.
right.
Consistently look and where can you add value? You just can't chatter, right?
No,
Nobody's going to pay attention to chatter.
no.
It's it's going to go nowhere really quickly. So tell me, just in both companies, since there's shared resources happening,
Mhm.
how many people are involved in the companies as a whole, and what do the operations look like?
We probably have roughly around 10,000 square feet here, the building. We have 8 to 9 employees in house. And then we have a lot of like outsourced stuff, as far as marketing and different things like that. So, but in house, 8 people right now. We're looking to hire a couple more in production and a couple in house, like a video editing and stuff like that, to work
Okay.
somebody to work with
Yeah.
me, because my glass is like one and a half times full. So
Understood.
right.
Understood. And that's and I love that, focusing on the video side of things. I mean, we're in that day and age now, right? Video
Yep.
is
Yep.
incredibly important, showing the product in action, and which is why we do a video podcast,
Mhm.
because I think that, seeing people on screen, immense amount of value. Seeing a picture is one thing, seeing a
Right.
video is another thing, and especially in the product lines that you're in, being able to, from, I guess, even showing the roasting process, the brewing process on the coffee side of things, to actually using the various Mad Viking beer products,
Mhm.
and showing how to do it. So no, I think that's fantastic. So in that mix, and you mentioned your plate being, or your glass being full, what are your day-to-day activities look like as CEO of the company?
Uh, Go to any public building, and pull the fire alarm. No,
Nice.
no,
Nice.
it's not that bad. It's sometimes, some days it feels like that, but I would say it's pretty mundane for the most part. It's, just kind of like come in, check some emails. I keep my own schedule. I keep a list, like a punch list, constantly. I'm making them just to make sure I'm covering all the bases and everything like that. Everybody has their own, kind of lane that they take, and we
Sure.
just all lock hands and sing and make it happen. So that's it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nothing special. Just being persistent, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting, as a young guy, a young kid growing up, reading Fortune magazine or Forbes,
Yep.
you have this image of what a CEO is, and it's this, you think it's this glorious thing. You're getting in the back of a town car and you're
No.
cruising down. No, it's you're checking accounting 1 minute, next minute you're checking an email, next minute you're putting out a fire.
Right.
And there, it's exciting, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we all get, we love it. I mean, you and I would agree that we wouldn't trade this for the world,
Right.
but it's not that image, right? It's not, hands on in the trenches every
Yeah.
day.
There's no suits here. This is the closest thing you get to a collar. This is our like
Nice.
Mad Viking comp shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, love
Um,
that. Yeah.
but that's, usually it's hoodies and t-shirts, and everybody's comfortable, and
Yeah.
loud music is playing.
Nice.
So we're rock, metal, punk bands. So
Nice.
yeah, it's like a playground here, basically.
It's a good culture, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that works for you. That works for the company, keeps people excited.
Right.
I mean, I constantly have to have music on. I need music to, and I need music that has, depends on my mood. If I'm working
Mhm.
hardcore focus, I need a certain type of music. If I'm trying to relax, maybe some jazz comes on, and I,
Right.
mellow out to some Miles Davis or something like that.
Oh,
So no, that's,
I'm
yeah.
once I get off this interview, I'm going to make them listen to
Yeah.
jazz the rest of the day. Let's see how that goes
Well,
over.
let's see. Yeah, you can have a very calm. Maybe you want to gauge the mood first, or what you need done before you turn that jazz on.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
love it. I love
Yep.
it. So tell me this: if you were standing in front of an entrepreneurial class at a university, What advice would you give them? Not just e-commerce. This is more specific to just running and starting and growing a business. What would
Right.
you tell young entrepreneurs getting into the game now?
I think the first thing is just for walking the path that I've walked.
Hmm.
I think the first thing is because I'm in a lot of groups for entrepreneurs and stuff like that, and there's some groups that people are just, hey, what about this idea? What about this? And I don't feel like anybody can become an entrepreneur. I think it's like any other job. If you want it, you can do it.
Right.
But if it's not in your DNA, like it's not going to happen because there's so many times where you might have to ride 2 years before you even make any money. And you got to figure that out.
Right.
You
Right.
literally got to love that, figure it out, and get to that next spot. And some people don't have the constitution for that to be able to like think that far out. And I think it's something you have to love to do versus,
Yeah.
hey, I think I know what that lifestyle is about, and that's what I am. But you don't know until you go through all the pain and suffering that you have when you're an entrepreneur sometimes, right? Because it's not all like unicorns and rainbows and everything. So I think the first thing that I would say, and I've said it before, when I've talked to different groups and stuff like that, is, I would just be like, hold your hands up. Who here thinks that they're an entrepreneur? And everybody always goes, yeah, it's me, And some of the people, they just haven't been yet. And I'm not saying it's something you just have to love. You have to be
Hmm.
persistent at. You have to know what you're getting into. And it's not all about
Hmm.
ideas. Everybody has ideas. It's about
Right.
execution and really going after it. When you do get an idea,
Yeah.
because ideas are just everywhere. So
Right. Right. Execute. No, that's perfectly said. And you have to be ready to live it all the time. I mean,
yeah,
it does not shut off at 5 o'clock.
no,
It does not
no,
shut off on the weekends.
no.
And people have joked with my business partner Michael, who you know as well. He says, "Ramin, work is your hobby." I'm like, well, yeah, in a way. I mean, but I love being an entrepreneur. I love tinkering. I
Right.
love continuously figuring out how to take it. And was what you're saying is exactly that. Is that
Mhm.
you cannot turn it off. You have to live it and breathe it. And if you're not ready to do that, well, it's okay. It may not be for you.
Right.
And better to know early on,
Mhm.
right? Better to know early on than getting into it and being disappointed with where's that beautiful rainbow lifestyle, the sunshine and amazing things happening and the money falling out of the trees. No, doesn't happen.
It really doesn't, because
Yeah.
when you start making money like that, you got to dump it back in because
Yeah.
there's people chasing you in the background, and
Right.
there's people in
Right.
front of you, and you want to be up there. So like,
Yeah.
it's just it's definitely a lifestyle, and yeah, that's what I would tell people. Just make sure this is in your blood, and it's in your blood, and then when you got that down, it's about persistence and executing. You know,
Yeah. Execution. I mean, yes. Great. Yes. Ideas.
yep,
Ideas are great.
yep,
It's a good starting point, but it's a good, executing on those ideas. And it's maybe safe to say also that, you know, uh, keep a log of your ideas because not every single
hmm
one of them is great at that time,
yep, yep,
but maybe down the road
right,
you revisit and like, you know what, that idea is, we're ready to do that now. Be ready for it to fail too.
right,
That's totally okay. Fail fast and move it out of the way,
definitely.
and move on to the next idea that's going to help grow your business. But I share your unbelievable passion for, business. It is fun
Yep.
when it's working. It's even sometimes fun. I got to be honest. Sometimes when things are a little, hairy, to take that step back and say, all right, how do we fix this? How do we resolve this? How do we make these adjustments to help grow and make the team happy and
Right.
and make clients and customers happy at the same time?
That's
So,
that's kind
uh,
of that's kind of what seasons you as an entrepreneur when you got to go through
mhm.
those tough spots, and
Yeah,
you go through 2 or 3 times of something very difficult like that where you're putting out a fire. the fifth, sixth, seventh, 10th time, whatever, you don't even sweat it anymore. You just kind of, we call it, Jay and I have a saying, we call it the iron gut syndrome. You know,
Oh,
when
nice.
things are going bad, we're just like, time will tell, we'll handle it, man. No problem. You know, that's
Yeah,
kind of how
I
we deal
love
with
it.
it. So,
I love
yeah.
that. I love that. That's great. That's a good one. So tell me now. Let's switch just to e-commerce. And
Sure.
I mentioned at the top that we're going to provide a tip. What one tip can you offer a client out there, or an entrepreneur getting started in the world of e-commerce? What's one tip that you can offer them that will kick their business into high gear quickly?
What are they selling?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I
Oh, you
mean,
asking me what are they
yeah,
selling?
there's so many.
Well,
Oh man, there's so many
all right.
variables. I would
Yeah.
kind of just go back to the entrepreneurial thing. You know, like
Mm,
no matter what you're doing, you know, execute and be persistent. And
right.
you know,
Okay.
data is important. Have all your numbers. Know your numbers. That's
Right.
very important. I mean, you could be
Okay.
thrashing around and think you're doing the best job in the world, and the numbers and the money and nothing's matching up, and you're just digging yourself a hole. So I would say that be persistent, execute, know your numbers.
Okay. Nice. Nice. I love it. And then let's just talk about, in terms of numbers, because this plays into the number side of things, marketing channels. What marketing channels do you currently use? Do you use in each of the businesses? Maybe they're different. I know some of them.
Right.
You and I obviously talk quite a bit about them,
Mm-hmm.
but just for the listeners out there, which ones have you used and continue to use and like, and which ones would you just, what? Let's cross that off the list. We're not going to do that anymore.
Right. Well, I don't really have anything that I dislike for the most part. There's things that just don't work for us, but it might work for another country or
Sure.
company. Sorry, but there's not like anything really bad. It's just for another company or whatever. What I
Right.
love is, you know, I think with the last iOS update with Apple and the privacy stuff, I think like zero party and first party data is going to be hugely important. And, from even now till, maybe the next how many years. So I think anything in that realm, like SMS, email, quizzes, stuff like that. There's some stuff I see in some software that, deal with getting that data. I think it's important to know your customer and know what they
Mhm.
want, know what they like, and give that to them, because that's all it is. Owning a business, just that exchange of value, and you want to give the best that you can. So
Mhm.
the more you know, the better
Right.
products you can give, the better service you could give. So I would say right now my two favorite things and is the SMS and
Mhm.
the email for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Owned marketing
Own
channels,
marketing.
really, at
Yep.
the end of the day, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And it's, yeah, and your results are amazing. They continue. I mean, you have very loyal customers,
Mhm.
and I think that they gravitate towards a product, and we love doing it for you guys. It's I think it's a fun. I just owned is important. You touched on the iOS. Yes, absolutely. I think that data is changing, and
Mhm.
how data is available, and rightly so. It was maybe too available, right? And now own marketing channels are going to become really the name of the game
Right.
out there. So
Right.
that's great. No, that's very good. What about pay per click advertising? How does that work for you? Do you do it for both businesses?
Yes. Yeah. We do pay per click for both businesses. Like Google, Bing. All the search engines, social media, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. We're going to start heading into YouTube, TikTok, all those, kind of different channels
Hmm.
here in the future.
Sure.
As soon as I get, a couple more people hired in here for, video content
Yeah.
and editing and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Well, each and every one of these podcasts, TikTok keeps coming up, obviously, for obvious reasons.
right.
And even as an agency, we pay attention to it as well. But I can imagine you could do some really cool stuff with both brands
Oh
on
yeah.
TikTok. It'd be very
We
cool.
actually have like a podcast radio show idea. We actually used to have a
Nice.
radio show from late 2014 to early 2017. We did like a radio show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like a podcast radio show. We could play like,
Okay.
regular music and all that stuff and talk. We didn't really film any of it. It was more of just, on a channel. But yeah, we want to bring that back kind of with the coffee company, I think, for the most part, because we're into a lot of music, and we kind of want to take the brand and smash coffee and music together and
Nice.
kind of support bands and have like a podcast like that. I think would be great. And I'm not talking about like, hey, here's, Brewtality has a Dropkick Murphys on or anything like that. I'm talking about, hey, here's a local band up and coming that nobody's ever heard of, and you guys are great.
Nice.
It's kind of like help bringing up other people that are trying to get it too. And I think that's
great.
That's our idea behind that. That's what we want to do next project. Yeah,
I love it. Do it all around coffee too. A better way to, All right. That's great, Jason. So you shared some phenomenal insights, and I think, entrepreneurs out there should really pay attention to this. I mean, again, you're not born into entrepreneurship. It isn't something you just walk into one day and say, yes, I'm in. You got to understand it. You got to feel it. You got to be ready for it because it's going to throw you a curveball, every single day, potentially.
Every day.
Every day. Every day you're going to see something new.
Yep.
But let's, it's been, you share some great insights there. So let's get into some fun questions here. Not to say that the other ones were fun.
Right.
I geek out on those all day long. Those are the fun ones. But let's get into something what we call our rapid fire questions. So what gets you excited to wake up and tackle the day?
My wife.
Nice.
Totally. She's the best. It's been a godsend for us to be able to work together every day. Cause she was, before e-commerce, she was in, the medical field, and she kind of had her world and I had mine with what I was doing. And it's great to be able to spend more time with your wife every day, and we get along great. So, some husband-wife couples, they need their space, and we get ours and everything, but that's one thing for sure. Just being able to wake up and go to work with her is awesome. Can't beat it.
That's awesome. Best answer to that question so far in all the podcasts. Very cool.
Well,
very cool.
I'm gonna make her watch this too. She'll be like,
yeah. Yes, yeah. You got to get some brownie points for that. Come on, that's awesome. So now that I'm going to ask you this question. I think we know the answer to this. But what's your drink of choice in the morning?
Oh, so the right answer is whiskey, but that's where most great ideas come from. But it's kind of a mixture of things. I usually don't eat breakfast. Kind of wake up, get ready, take a bottle of water in my transport to work, and then I'll rip into some coffee, at the warehouse in the morning, and that's pretty much it. Maybe tea occasionally, but mostly a water and some coffee. Gets the caffeine rolling,
I love it.
Then
whiskey's a great.
We save the whiskey for afternoon.
Absolutely. You're right. Great ideas do come from that. Absolutely. So if you weren't doing the job that you're doing today, the two businesses that you are running, what would you be doing?
I would love to sail around the world. So I think I'm a big ocean person and never really got. That's actually what I was supposed to go to school for, but I didn't get to go to school when I graduated high school. So I think that would be my thing, is to kind of be able to sail around the world and kind of do something like that, and run charters or something, or I just love the ocean.
That's awesome.
It's way different than this, but
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, very different.
Right.
And it's interesting. So you have had, prior to this, you had something that was very different than what you're doing right now, and now you're envisioning a world that is completely different. You have these. You do your time in the world you're in, and then you've got this other world that you aspire to try at some point in your life. That's very cool. Very cool. So Tell me, what SaaS software or mobile app on your phone can you not live without? You gotta check this every day, and if they shut it down, you wouldn't be happy. What would it be?
I'd be really mad if Klaviyo went away. I mean,
Oh, look at that!
because
Nice.
it's been really great for us. I was on a competitor before, and
Yep.
it just wasn't working at all. There was nothing. I mean, the change from moving over to that and what we can do with it, and just all of the everything that you could do with Klaviyo is just awesome.
That's
They aspire to get better constantly. So that's what I really like about that company.
yeah.
SMS is great too. But yeah, those are the things that I'm like, if you take those away, that's not going to be. I don't want that at all. So
No, no, I get it, and you're right. And Klaviyo, yeah, innovators, right?
right.
And I always say that, I say the same thing about Shopify too, that they're
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
an awesome
yeah.
e-commerce platform, but people say, well, there are other ones out there. Well, yes, there are, but look at the ones that are innovating. Always look for innovation. And execution too. I mean, not
Hmm.
just coming up with great ideas, and Klaviyo is consistently doing that. And wait till I'll talk to you at some other point about the SMS. What they're doing on SMS now versus what they were doing a year ago.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. And
I, I
I know you're with I know you're with another one. But we should definitely talk about that at some other point.
I have some
Uh,
ideas for SMS that I would like to run by somebody that's in charge over there to see if it's
yeah.
possible. But I think customer communication in the future, especially with SMS, should
Mm-hmm.
just be wide open. Like you should be able
Sure.
to, and I'm not talking about the regulations they currently put on it because that keeps
Right.
everything spam free and safe and cool. And
Right.
people want to use it because it's not spammy. But
Right.
I'm more talking about like you can have a text instead of having like a chat bot up on your website. You should be able to your customers should be able to text that, and you can text them back through
Yeah.
your SMS or something. So just kind of open it up a little bit more
Yeah.
free or something like that was one of my ideas. But who am
Yeah,
I?
and I know that. Well, I know the airlines, utilize that. In fact, I was on Alaska airline, and
Hmm.
they have that system in place. And I know Xfinity also does that. The back and forth. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a chatbot, but it's utilizing SMS functionality in there. And by the way, if you want to give them some of your ideas, we just did a podcast with one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yep.
can yeah I'll happy to schedule a call, and you can, because we love them now from the SMS standpoint. And I definitely say that 2 years ago,
Hmm.
the SMS wasn't, they were doing it, but they weren't doing it on the level that they're doing it now. And they're putting so many resources behind SMS, rightly so. I mean,
Right.
that is where it's going. I joke that 2 years ago, I would be bothered I wouldn't love it if you as a brand sent me SMS messages. But now I'm almost like, please send me the message. I want to know things are back in stock. I want to know immediate, because I keep my SMS inbox clean. I go
Right.
through all of them.
And I
Right?
think, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's in about a SMS. That's the most important thing. Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
be just throwing discount codes, and you want some
Right.
sort of value to that. And it's great to give
Yes.
discount codes and have sales and all that stuff. But you don't want to inundate your customers like, here, buy
Right.
this, buy this, buy this. I want them to buy what they want, what they need, and find
Right.
utility in the products we offer. And at the same time, with interacting with us, I want them to have other values besides that. It's not, I don't
Right.
feel SMS should be like a discount factory or anything like that. I think it
Good
should,
point.
be more transactional to where they can figure out where their order's going, or like you mentioned, out of stocks and stuff like that. Or
Yeah.
if they have an issue, they can just text like that. We get it. It's
Right.
taken care of. Like it's really quick, and it's,
Mhm.
it's, definitely going to be a more important marketing channel in the future, I think, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I seen it coming like, a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh, this would be great if it
Uh-huh.
worked for what I wanted
Right.
to. Yeah. And now it does. So yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah. Well, We'll schedule that call with Jack Binda over at Clavios. Have a little conversation about what they're doing. So that's awesome. This has been a phenomenal interview. I love talking to you each and every time, and we don't really get a ton of time to talk about entrepreneurship when we're talking business and so this is very cool. I as you could tell, I tend to geek out on all these things, and it's my opportunity to get to know who I'm talking to, and you've been a great client, and again, as I said at the top, you're always pushing us to innovate more, can come up with new ideas, help me grow my business more, and you're willing to take those chances. And I think that's also an entrepreneurial quality too. You got to be able to take that risk once in a while. You don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, we've laid it all on the line many times and struck out a few times, but it's about coming back and being persistent, like I said before. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, Jason, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the E-commerce Revolution podcast, and we really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to do this. And I just we love working with you. Take a minute, maybe tell the audience out there how they can find out about Mad Viking Beard and Brewtality Coffee.
Okay, well, Mad Viking Brewtality, Mad Viking you can find at madvikingbeard.com, and Brewtality is a little bit trickier. It's Brewtality, BREW, but it's not a .com, it's .coffee. So it's literally brutality.coffee, and that's the website. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And anybody who wants to reach out to you on social media, you're on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn. I forced myself to go on LinkedIn because I'm not hireable, but it's you could find us quite a many places online. So
great. Well, thank you again.
Yep.
All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. This has been an amazing episode. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Make sure you take a moment to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and send us a review on any of the other networks that you listen to your podcasts on. Thank you very much, and look forward to upcoming episodes. Take care, everybody. Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube or drop us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much.